So sexpionage is a commercial term. We call them sexual exploitation operations, because essentially what you're doing is you're exploiting or motivating / manipulating somebody on the basis of their sex, not their gender, but their sexual preferences. So that can be homosexual, that can be heterosexual, that can be bisexual, that can be any number of the kinks that are out there. If you exploit their sexuality, it is a sexual exploitation operation. And there's left and right boundaries, so to speak. In the United States, we have no problem with sexual exploitation operations, but we will not sexually exploit using one of our intelligence officers. Because what ends up happening pragmatically is once you cross the boundary into sex with the Western mentality, you also cross a boundary emotionally. In the West, that's something that's very unique to the West. In Latin America and in Asia and in like India, people have sex all the time and it's not emotional. But here in the United States, we are of a culture where once you cross the sex boundary, you can't help but, by the conditioning of our culture, also cross an emotional boundary.
Interesting.
So we do not create operations where our officers engage in sex to withdraw secrets from a target. That does not mean that our officers don't facilitate sex for a target. So if you have somebody who's really into, transgender men or transgender females, you might facilitate them getting a transgender prostitute or a transgender boyfriend or girlfriend, and you become the friend that helps them get the sex they want.
Yeah, that's an interesting little hustle right there, huh?
The left and right boundaries, right? Whereas you consider SVR or MSS, the Russians or the Chinese, they very much let their own officers, they push their own officers to engage in sexual exploitation operations because they don't have freedom of choice in those countries. They don't have personal rights in those countries. And oftentimes what they find is that in those countries, sex is already like not an emotional thing.
Yeah.
So they can leverage that tool much faster. And it's better to put a trained operator in bed with a target than it is to put a trained operator in the room next to the target. And then after the target gets their rocks off, then you have a conversation. But in our country, that's essentially what we're left with.
Yeah, interesting. By the way, one of the other reasons I brought up Neil Strauss, not to throw shade on his podcast, which I actually quite enjoyed, even though, again, I think our story is full of holes. He was supposed to write a profile of Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, the dictator of Belarus. And he started getting these emails that were like, hey, by the way, in preparation for your visit, we just want to know what kind of girls you like. And it was very clunky. And I thought, this is KGB training? To literally ask the dude what kind of girls he likes?
Or you could just read the game. He basically outlines his dream girl.
Or like, look at the woman he's dating now. I mean, there's a type here, man. It was really kind of ridiculous. But he started to be like, what are you talking about? And the emails are comically clunky, man. It's like, we just want you to have a good time. Maybe you'll meet somebody and maybe there's a future in it. And it's just like, you have read this entirely wrong. Like the budget cuts over there at the Belarusian KGB must be pretty intense. But it was very clunky. But it was so funny to see this happen because he was supposed to go there and write a profile of the president. Obviously, what they're looking for is to get him in a compromising situation, videotape it or whatever, and then make sure that the profile is flattering, or they were going to do something. Otherwise, what's the point? If you want to show somebody a good time and it's spontaneous, just wait till they're there and have a party. I mean, that's all you need to do. But they were like, no, we really want to make damn sure that this person gets it in. It was just so ridiculous. And I'm imagining that most operations involving sexpionage, sexual exploitation are a little bit smoother.
It's not necessarily that they're smooth. It's that they are very intentional. And oftentimes what happens is when you're dealing with somebody who can be sexually exploited, they don't want to be coy about it. They prefer a bold approach.
Really?
Yeah. So more often than not, when like a true sexual exploitation operation happens, it's kind of like the smoking hot female or the smoking hot gay guy or the smoking hot whatever walks right up to the person and is super bold and is just like, hey, I saw that you're sitting here alone and what are you doing in town? And do you want to go up to my room and have a good time? It's just bold. And what ends up happening is For anybody who's listening and watching, and here's a moment, here's what I call real talk, right? Let's have a real talk moment here. If sex motivates you, the only thing more motivating than sex is fast sex. So,
I suppose you're right.
So, like, there are plenty of people out there that, and the reason Belarus does it is because they learned it from KGB and MSS learned it from KGB. Why beat around the bush? It's better to just say, hey, hey, what kind of women do you like? What kind of wine do you like? What kind of this do you like? What kind of that do you like? You bury it among 4 or 5 options. But what they're really saying to the right person who can be exploited, what they're really saying is, if you'll tell us what kind of women you like, we'll make sure you get them. But to some people, they judge it wrong. But to most people that are actually exploitable sexually, they will answer that question. And they'll be like, I like red wine, I like Cabernet, I like red beef, or I like rare beef, I like blondes that weigh 130 pounds or less, I like X, whatever. And they'll put their list in
I lost
there.
you there for a second, Andrew. Let's see, what's on the menu? Yeah, it was, you're right. It seems like it must be a filter. Like, hey, look, basically proposition this dude as much as you can in writing. And if he runs, not the right target.
Not the right target. Because you know what? There are plenty of other journalists that we can have come out and do the profile.
Right.
And if we can't get this one, there's 9 others that we can choose from.
Interesting. He didn't end up doing the profile, obviously. He was afraid to go after that for obvious reasons.
It's Belarus.
It's Belarus.
I mean,
even people who are from Belarus don't want to go to Belarus.
For real. Like, everyone should be afraid of going to Belarus under any conditions.
Yeah. It's my brother is getting married, and he's dating a girl from Belarus. And this will come out after that, so I'm not afraid to talk about this. But one of the reasons he's getting married in Georgia, and I don't mean the state, I mean the country of. And the reason is because her passport was expiring. She lives in a third country. I'm not going to say where they live. They live in a third country in Eastern Europe. She wanted to go renew her passport because they wanted to come here and visit for Christmas. Well, as it turns out, you need to go to the embassy and renew your passport. Okay, so she goes to the embassy, the Belarusian embassy, and they said, you can't renew your passport. You have to go back to Belarus. She goes, okay. Calls her family in Belarus, and they were like, do not come back. So-and-so's uncle came home, and now he can't go work in Germany where he has his job because they won't let him leave. And they confiscated his passport. So they're like, don't come back. Crap, my passport's not going to get renewed. So my brother's like, screw it, I guess I'm proposing, romantic, right, to get documents. So he goes, all right, let's get married. He's a citizen of another country, and they have a couple citizenships between them. He's got a couple citizenships or whatever, residences anyways. So she has to get a document. In the country where they live, she needs a document that says she's not already married in Belarus. So she goes back to the embassy, and the guy goes, I'm not giving you that. You should marry a Belarusian. And besides, if you want to get married to that guy, go get married in Belarus. It's cheaper anyway.
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people.
So they are just like, no, go back to Belarus. And so she knows she's going to get, there's just a non-zero chance she can never leave.
Yeah.
So he calls me in a panic, and he's like, where can we get married where you don't need documents? And I'm like, the United States, kinda? And it's like Iceland and Georgia. So he's like, great, I've already been to Georgia. We really like it there. So they're getting married in Georgia quite quickly. And she's going to then have a marriage that's valid to this guy who's got a passport from another country, which gets her da-da-da-da-da. She doesn't need a Belarusian passport anymore. She's basically abandoning that whole idea. And it's quite a saga. I forget what the hell my original point was, but here we are.
That's okay. Well, I mean, it's going to be tough. But your original point was about sexual exploitation operations.
Yeah.
And why nobody should go to Belarus.
Right. I think it was just why nobody should go to Belarus. I think that was just an anecdote about that particular thing, which is a shame because I would love to visit a place like that. The problem is I want to eventually leave. Yeah. And I think that's the trick.
Really nothing to see that I would want to see in Belarus.
Have you been there before?
So Belarus is on a short list of places where, like, I'm never really allowed to go, and Russia's on that list too.
Sure.
But if anything you want to see in Belarus, you'd prefer to see it in Russia, anyways, right? So
maybe,
because that's really the whole reason Belarus is a dangerous place is because it's essentially a shadow government run by Russia.
Yeah, what is the term people use? Like, not puppet state, which is also true, but and not even fiefdom. But there's a term that they use. It's an antiquated term. Whatever, I'll look it up later. It's like a principality almost of Russia.
Yeah.
Where else can you not go?
Cuba is on my list of
Okay.
places where I can't go. China is on my list of places where I can't go. Hong Kong is now on that list. Taiwan will probably be on that list very soon.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just me. It's really anybody with my credentials or background. Like, I can't go to Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
So there's places where we become a risk if someone with our credentials ends up being picked up in a place like that. And these are not free countries. There's not.
Taiwan is free, but there's a lot of MSS operating in Taiwan, obviously.
And like, again, when we talk about free, like, the Taiwanese police could wrap us up, could wrap me up, and then come up with any trumped up claim, and it would work.
But Taiwan is a friendly state in so many ways. Why would they wrap you up?
The Taiwanese president is friendly. The Taiwanese legislature is not. The Taiwanese police divisions are different by principality, and that's what people don't realize about most of the world. People don't realize that the way that laws work in the United States, where the federal law is similar, if not the same as most state laws, like in the United States, we have very little difference between state and municipality and federal
Right, and
law
you have
structure.
superseding federal law and things like that.
And the rest of the world is not like that. Like, you could literally enter one part of Cambodia, cross through a police district where the laws are completely different, and end up violating a law where they hold you in that precinct, even though you entered into a different precinct and you were just traveling through on a bus. Who knows what, right? It's not the same as the United States.
Yeah, Taiwan, I'm still a little confused by that just because it does seem so friendly. I mean, Hong Kong obviously is part of China.
Hong Kong was super friendly
Yeah,
until it suddenly wasn't friendly.
right.
If you were there 4 days before it was suddenly unfriendly, it would have still been unfriendly, right? Like, since the Taiwanese elections in January, the pro-unity with China government, that they control the legislature. The president is pro-separation,
Separation, yeah.
but that president is having a hell of a hard time getting anything done in Taiwan right now because the legislation, the parliament, the legislature wants to go closer back to ties with China.
Yeah.
So even sitting here having a conversation where we're like, Taiwan is free. Taiwan is not free. Taiwan is split. Taiwan is torn, right? The parliament, the legislature, has representatives of all the districts of Taiwan.
Sure.
The majority of those districts are represented by somebody who wants to reunify with China, which means that China spreads its hands everywhere anyways.
Sure. Yeah.
It's definitely deep into those districts that want unity with China. So now more than half of Taiwanese districts, we can assume, are influenced by, if not penetrated by, China.
Yeah.
And their police precincts in those districts will be heavily influenced by, if not penetrated by, China. So when we say Taiwan is free,
I just mean from a personal liberties democratic standpoint, it seems quite democratic right now, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not going to risk it personally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you for that. I'm just saying it seems like this is something where I have to ask like an actual sort of Taiwan China experts, because I know dissidents that freely travel to Taiwan but can obviously not go to China. And, they would never go to Hong Kong because they'd be arrested immediately.
Are they traveling after January of this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I have to ask.
The danger of traveling in and out is increasing every day.
Yeah, that's
and
interesting.
it's the same thing with Hong Kong.
I'll have to ask. Hong Kong, I can't go to China or Hong Kong. But I last went to Taiwan in October, and now I'm like, well, crap, should I not go back? I talk a lot about China on this show. I am not in their good graces by any stretch. But I'm no spy as far as they know. You mentioned secret life before, sharing your secret life. Can you separate that from? Well, first of all, I'd like to define that a little more, and then talk about how you pry your way into something like that.
So we talked about this earlier when we were discussing the idea of judging people by the label,
Right.
like the label on the can, if you will, or the label on the jar. There's 3 types of lives that we all carry. At least we're taught that everybody carries 3 types of lives, right? There's a public life, a private life, and a secret life. The public life is the life you want other people to see. So going back to our example about the ISIS extremist who's parroting ideology, or the brand new, US military recruit who's parroting ideology, that is their public life. That's what they put on so everyone around them can see it, right? I'm smiling, not that I'm actually happy. I'm laughing at your joke, even though it's not really funny.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
pretending that my relationship with my wife is perfect, even though I know that it's
hilarious.
flawed.
Yeah.
That's all public life stuff,
Sure.
and we all have a very public life. We carry it with us to work, we carry it with us on dates, we carry it with us at the gym. We want people to believe that we're confident and capable, right? That's all public life stuff. Not real, public. Then behind that, we have what's called a private life. Your private life is what's known to the people who are in your inner circle, the people who are your closest friends, and in that private life, they know things about you that nobody on the public knows.
Right.
They know that I'm lactose intolerant. They know that your feet maybe stink when you take them out of your shoes. They know that you don't like to stay up past 10
Public
p.m.
and private life are crashing into each other right now on this podcast.
But that's all part of your private life, right? Your wife knows it.
Yeah.
Your mom knows it. Your close friend from college. These people know whatever it is. And it's more compromising than what the public knows, but it's not compromising enough that it makes you feel nervous.
Right. Now, my wife tells me I'm exactly like I am on the podcast, which is, who knows what that really, I guess that means that those things merge together a little bit. But clearly there are things that I don't broadcast on this show.
Well, I mean, just a few minutes ago, you were talking about how you were immediately distracted by the idea of how much else about your children is posted on the walls.
Oh, just the drawings, yeah. Because I realized how much, I don't really mind if people know that, they know
But that's
my
a
kids, they
private
know
life
their name.
concern.
Yeah, it's a private life concern. Yeah.
Right? That's a private life concern. The third life that we have is called a secret life. Your secret life is the life that you keep secret from even your closest people in the private circle. There are secrets you have that your wife doesn't know. There are secrets that your wife has that you don't know.
Ugh, uncomfortable.
Super uncomfortable, but this is what's so powerful about espionage. When you learn that that's the truth, and then you validate, you're like, holy shit, there are definitely secrets that I have that I don't tell anybody. Once you learn you have a secret life, it's not that much of a stretch to understand everybody has a secret life. The power happens when you can get other people to share their secret life with you. Secret life is all the things that you're the most ashamed of, you're the most guilty about, the things that you fear judgment and shame, like it's the things that you don't even like to talk to yourself about, but you know they're true. All of that constitutes your secret life. What's so powerful about secret life is once somebody shares their secret life with you, they are forever wedded to the fact that you have been let into their secret life.
Right.
It's like the ultimate form of loyalty.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows this thing about them except them and you.
Well, it's like guys you've ever traveled with when you go to Thailand. You just come back and it's like, remember when Tom and I went to Thailand with you? And it's like, shh, she's in the other room. Like there's a few of those.
There's a bond there,
Yeah.
right? And that bond is super powerful when it comes to the idea of using that bond for leverage and
Right.
gaining secrets again, because espionage is all about stealing secrets.
Yeah.
Well, once you've been let into someone's secrets, it's very easy to get them to tell you more secrets that don't even compare to that secret from their secret life.
Right. So if you want to get, obviously, right. I used to teach like share and then be shared with. It seems like if you're CIA, you would share something that was fake and constructed because you don't really want them to have leverage over you.
So what you're talking about is elicitation. And this is what I always loved what you taught in your previous podcast, right? But it's still surface level.
Yeah.
It's still like introductory level. It's like Neil Strauss.
Yeah.
The stuff that he teaches is all very superficial, surface level psychology. When it comes to actually applying that psychology against a wide variety of targets, it gets more nuanced.
Yeah,
So
that
share
makes
to be
sense.
shared with is an
Yeah.
elicitation technique that's technically called give to get. I went to this university. Well, it's logical for you to tell me where you went to university.
Sure.
When it comes to getting into someone's secret life, you can't give to get because then you're giving your secrets.
But that's my point.
And if you
Yeah.
give a lie, you're not showing that you're worthy of their secret life. Because if they suspect or think that there's a lie there, they're not going to let you in. What you have to do is you have to make assessed guesses, hypotheses that come with validation about what you already suspect is in their secret life. So you look at them and you're kind of like, I understand a lot of people have a hard time around 7 years of marriage, and they start wondering whether or not their wife is a good fit. And I see the way that you and your wife argue sometimes, and I can't help but wonder if maybe you're feeling that way too. And I don't want you to feel bad if that's the way you feel, because I've had lots of friends feel the same way.
This sounds exactly like what we used to teach, not on the podcast, but in the programs that we were selling, because I did teach it to MI6 and possibly a quite big question mark to CIA because they don't tell you what you're doing. There's a lot of like, film this training for our corporation in a room with one person who's just taking notes and quiet.
Yeah.
Which was kind of how I think the MI6 thing was. It was just, there wasn't like a room full of guys looking at me. It was like a video camera thing. And I found out more or less by accident. And definitely when you're teaching, I wonder, in fact, confirm this for me if you can. Do you ever receive training where it's just like a person on video teaching something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there were times where I'm like, so I'm going to, I don't know, Northern Virginia to teach this thing in just like an empty room, and there's essentially a secretary or like one other person asking me if I need water or something to drink, turning off a video camera on and off, comes back into the room after lunch with a bunch of random questions that I'm guessing she didn't come up with herself, clarifications, do it again at the end of the thing. And I'm like, who's watching me give this training that doesn't want to just sit in this room?
Yeah. And that's exactly how that's how a lot of our training works.
Really? Okay.
And it's because we get, I mean, it's top tier training,
Yeah.
but it's still one-sided. You have a need to know the content of the training, but the trainer does not have a need to know the people who are in the training.
Well, right. That I just suspect, I'm like, these have got to be DIA or DO officers that can't have me see their face.
And there's also an element of,
Yeah.
I mean, it may just be a panel of HR people who are determining whether or not your training is even applicable, because there's no benefit to letting you know that there's even real people there. So if they had 5 different people coming in to talk about 5 different ways to apply psychology to relationship building, they have one person at 9 a.m., another person at 12:30, another person at 2, another person at 5, whatever, right? It's all recorded.
Yeah.
And it's all assessed by an HR panel, and then that HR panel could split and splice all the best pieces of all 5 together into one packaged video that then gets sent to the DO.
Yeah, this is multiple days. So either it was a really in-depth assessment or it was a training. Because I was so confused as to why I'm training this completely disinterested person in a video camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this can't be used for commercial use. You signed off on the thing, so what are you using this tape for? It was very, and then my friends from agencies were like, maybe it was this thing, but nobody's going to tell me. So it's funny, you and I got in touch years and years ago, and again, we forgot how that even happened, or at least that's the story we're going with. And I was like, oh, call me when you have a book. It's easier for me to prep. What is going on? Because the clearance process for these books, I made a joke about the clearance process, but it was apparently that's really the holdup.
Yeah, the clearance process. So as a former CIA officer, I have a lifetime secrecy agreement, an NDA,
Yeah.
where I can't disclose operational details about my past. I can talk about lots of other things, but sources and methods about intelligence operations that I participated in is one of those no-go lists. To get that approved, I have to run it through CIA. So we wrote a manuscript. That manuscript has been with CIA. It has actually technically been approved by CIA. However, there were changes in the geopolitical landscape related to what we wrote about in our book that then CIA exercised their right to deny the book. So then we had to change some of the details to accommodate CIA's requirements, and then it's gone back in for another round of revisions. So we are hoping to have a book approved by CIA so that we can get it published and on bookshelves by summer of 2025.
Wow.
But it was originally supposed to be released by summer of 2024 until CIA changed their mind. And it's really tied to the fact that my wife and I, our operations were so modern that the contents of the book is unlike anything anybody's ever seen before, and it makes CIA nervous.
It's a great pitch.